Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Envizion Revelations here, and thank you so much for 50 subscribers and 10,000 video views. This is a milestone for me. I'm very happy and excited. Thank you all for your support. And now I'd like to thank you with this video of how to be an animator, of what I've done to produce my first animation that I did for YouTube. This will be useful for anyone who wants to become an animator or just wants to make a animated something or other in front of their videos, for their videos, or just people who just if you're just curious. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so this is the program that I use, Autodesk Maya 2012, the student version edition. The student version is available for free on their website. The link will be below. Check it out if you're interested in doing any of this. I really like this software, so it works for me. Should work for you too. But as you can see, there is nothing. It's blank. You have to start with only your imagination and the tools provided for you to flesh out your imagination. When you go to make an animation, you start with an idea or inspiration. For my first YouTube animation, I wanted a scene with a camera following a river that looks across a small town, which spins around and reveals the words Envizion Revelations Place Towns before resting on top of a mountain. My biggest concern on this was creating a tree that would sway in the wind. So that was where I started. So to start with the tree, we're going to start with the log. We'll come over here to the polygons and we'll create just a basic cylinder. Nothing very fancy. So we'll shrink it down and make it taller. And there we have a tree. Well, sort of. And then we want some leaves that can go on top of it. And we want to keep it just as low res and easy to make as possible, so we'll just add some pyramids. Here's one. We'll make it a little bit bigger. Maybe we'll flatten it out a little bit. Come at the top. Let him rest down there. And we'll make a few more. We'll duplicate it. Come down. Make this one a little bigger. Duplicate it again. Come down. A little bigger than that. Duplicate it again. Oops. Selected everything. Come down. And one more time. And there. We have a nice little fat tree. Real simple. No fuss over it. Just a simple tree. The reason we have each piece is separate is that so we can animate each individual piece without having too much issue with it. Now what we can do is, to make things a little easier, we can link each sections of leaves that we have, link it to the tree, so anytime the tree base moves, so will the rest of it. In order to do that, we're going to do what's called parenting. We're going to click on a piece that we want parented to something, then we'll shift click what we want it to parent to, and we'll press P. So anytime we click on the log, now anytime we move it, that piece will go with us. And we'll do this with the rest of it. I'll show you why in just a second. So now we have all that. We can make another one, duplicating it. And I think it should still work. Yep. But you can still move the individual pieces such as that, and then when you move it this way, it goes around like that. Pretty cool, huh? Liking animation already? Alright, so another bonus to pairing them together like that is that we can, now that we're animating, we can make them kind of move together when we want them to, and make them move separate when we want them to. For a second, we'll set something to be 100 frames. And on frame 1, we'll have him stay here. And at frame 100, we also want him to be here. At frame 50, we want him to be swayed this way. And we'll make him move over just a little bit so he stays in the middle. So now we hit play. The tree is now swaying in the wind. Ta-da! That's how you animate. Alright, so we want to add a little extra to it so it's not so rigid. We're going to animate each individual piece. So we'll set start frame and an end frame. And at frame 50, well, let's say at frame 40, we'll have him stop there. We'll have him where he would normally be. But at frame 60, we want him to animate. Oh, whoa. Get a little crazy there. To go about there. So now, as he goes like this, he kind of sways a little bit like that. That might be a bit much. Just little subtle movements. And we can do that with each one, and I'll set them up just a little bit from their frames from the previous one, just so it gives them all a bit of random quality to it. And they're not really cooperating with me right now, so oops. And I never gave him an end frame. So let's undo that. Make him save there. And we'll come down just a little bit. So as you can see, as it sways, they have their own individual action that they perform while the tree is swaying. And we would continue to do this with the other leaves sections. And finally, we just want to color them. We want to, each section will have a color. Well, since it's all going to be selected anyway, do like this. Assign a favorite material, a Lambert. And I'm not really explaining what I'm doing. If you really want to do animation, Mike can make tutorials for you. You should be able to find lots of tutorials out there on the internet. This just shows you quickly how each thing's performed without going way too much into detail. Animation really is a very difficult thing to learn. It is really hard to get into the later stages, so this is just to make things, show off all the good things about animation. For these, we want another Lambert. It's just a flat shade, it's not reflective. I'll show you a different one in a second. We'll make him green. And now we have a colored swaying tree. So here we can see two trees animated slightly differently, one with subtle movements and another not so subtle. I couldn't decide which movement I liked better. So I added a couple more trees with subtle movement to see what the group movement looks like. It was at this point that I decided to drop the quick motions and stick with a gentle sway. Next, we're going to want to build an environment, a landscape for our action to happen in. So to do this, we're going to make a polygon plane, and we're going to mess with his attributes over here. First, we want him to be big. Let's make him 1,000 units. Width and height, like this. So you can see, which would probably make it a lot bigger than this, but just to show you. And we want to give it some more subdivisions. We'll cut it by 100 both ways. So now we have all these nice little points everywhere, because it's these little points like this that we want in order to make some mountains, which I used in my first animation. And then we're going to go to object mode. I'm sorry, not object mode. Go to vertex. That's the name for the little points. And say I want a mountain here, 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 and one over here. We're going to raise them up, but if we just raise them up like this, our mountains aren't going to look very pleasing. So undo that, and we're going to turn on what's called soft select, which gives us a range of points that they can use, and each point that's closer will be more affecting than the last. Look kind of like bombs going off like that, but I'll show you. Something like this. So now, when we raise it up, we have some nice little hills, kind of like we're entering Mario Land. So you get stuff like that. Maybe grab a couple more points, raise them up some more, so you can adjust the terrain however you would like, and then you get something like this. This becomes my master scene. I'll show you what it looks like in its entirety. This is all that there is. And I know that I want my final resting place for my camera to be right about here. These are the trees that matter. And my first test was to make sure that the trees sway, and that I like the way that they sway. Just hitting play. They do like that. My next course of action is to set the camera motion, how I want my camera to move throughout the scene, since that's the only real animation that's going on, well, besides the trees. But it's the most important action, and it captures what I wanted to capture. So if I click the camera, you can see all the little points that I've made that I want my camera to be at. And this is my ending frame. In order to choose how many frames I needed, I found the song that I wanted to use by Kevin MacLeod, and I figured where I wanted my camera to be at a certain music cue, and then did the math from there. So this is where I wanted my camera to be at this point. And the rest of the motions depend on just how the camera reacts from point A to point B. Now, point A at this time is there's nothing. This is where the river would be, but I haven't made it yet. So the entire first part of this is just looking down, pretending there's a river there that I'm looking across it. And here's where the camera will actually start to move. And you should see the ground start to show up here, and then it looks up. And sometimes the camera can act funny, and that it'll twist around and do odd, crazy things. If you do animation, it's probably going to happen to you too, unless I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. So that's why you see all these little frames kind of next to each other, because they're all like counteracting like the different bad things that are happening that I didn't want it to. I wanted to just come across, look up, look around, and that's it. And this isn't even how the final camera actions go. It ends up being, it doesn't reveal the words the way I want it to. So before the final product, I end up coming in and editing the camera motions. But this is basically what it looks like, and you'll notice that there is no mountains in the background, and there's no river, and I'll show you why. Alright, so in order to make the other bits in the animation, like the river, at first I need to make my scene a little bigger, because there's action going on more than just what we see here, like, you know, the rest of the river. So what we're going to do, so we're in object mode, so we're actually going to duplicate the entire thing. This was kind of the lazy way out, maybe, to doing this, but it ended up looking really nice, so I left it. We have things like this, and there's a little bit of things that had to be worked on, like these things here did not quite line up. Just get a zoom in view here. So I end up having to move these down like this. This one down like this. And we're going to like combine these two together. Where is that? I always forget. Valid selection. Oh, maybe I did something wrong. Oh, look. That's okay. Combine. And now it's one big piece. It was like, well, there's a big open hole right here. Well, you never actually see this part right here. So, first rule of animation: if you don't see it, it doesn't matter. That's something to take to heart. If you're not going to see it on camera, it's not worth animating, unless it's for your own peace of mind. That does happen. Okay, so now we're going to build or dig the river. So we're going to select it again. You're going to use this paint select so we can select lots of points in a snaky pattern. So we'll kind of come up here, we'll look at it from above, and we're going to start from over here, and we're going to drag the river across, and here's where we're going to have it snake. It's going to take a little bit to catch up, and hoping it doesn't just freeze altogether. Okay, so maybe it froze. Yeah. Anyway, doing what that did, or eventually get caught up. Oh, there it goes. And so we have the river kind of like this, it kind of banks around, and we're going to shrink the size of it, how much it affects, because we only want a little bit. We just want to cut it down and not make a wide bank along the river, and then we're just going to drag it down to make a canyon. If it ever would go through, I'll show you. That is one thing to take into account. Animation takes a really long time. I didn't get started on this video beforehand. I should have, but I put it off. I've been busy, and so now it's taking me this long to get this video out to you guys. So sorry for the delay again, but thank you very much for all your support, and I hope to continue to deliver great content for you guys. So I'll show you in the next section, but I did all I was going to say. I drug the river down, so now we have a canyon, and all I have to do is just create a new plane across underneath the current environment, and that's going to be our water level. It just sinks down, it extends across the whole thing, but you only see it where the river dips down, and that gives us our water. So we get this. This is our river. You see how it was brought down like a canyon, and we just have a single plane that acts as our water. Just like this. Again, I seem to have, oops, did not want to do that. If I just move plane up, now our mountains are islands. And we'll just drop it back low. See there? Now we are all dried up. And so there we go with our water, our little river. Now I was talking about the materials earlier, and if we come in here and we look, this is a blend texture. It gives a reflection on it, which you can all modify with these fancy stuff down here, which I'm not the most keen on. We can always learn more, right? And that gives it looks more like water. It'll reflect the mountains. If you look really closely in the final product, you'll see the reflection in the water of the mountains. I think it looks really nice. And also we want to have our little houses here, which were very, very, very basic. Just a block which gets extruded out. Here, I'll even show you. Where are you? Here you are. You are a very tiny cube, aren't you? The world is much too big for you. So let's make you bigger. Boop. Now the world's not so scary. And we're going to turn off soft select. We're not going to need it. And we'll close you. Now we're going to extrude, which will just take that face and we can extend it out. And is this even how I did that? Yes, it is. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to extrude again. We'll make it up. And we'll shrink it in. And then all these sides here, we will extrude out and just expand. And then we're going to shrink them. And we have a basic little house, which we can give a colored roof to, and make some. And this was based on towns before we had multi-levels. So only one-story houses. I was really pushing for them to have multi-stories, and I might dare say I might have influenced their decision to hurry up with multi-levels. But so I just had to work with one-story houses, and there was no point in making two-story houses as it didn't accurately represent the game at the time. So I just had a small village of one-story buildings made just like that. And to check with the camera and make sure everything's working, I brought in some words from when I made my signature from the forms as I go by, which you can still see that signature in my photo bucket account, if you can find that. Some of my older stuff that I've posted, which may make a return, just so you know. So this is what we got now, and we're doing some more camera testing and seeing how that works. So see, we'll come up. So here's the river now. I'll show you in real time, as fast as the computer can render it out. Now, and here's also a little trick, a little cheat for you. And I'll show you here in the camera. The river wasn't long enough for how far I wanted to go, so I actually doubled the camera movement. I come up to here, and I've passed all these rivers. There's actually two keyframes next to each other, one frame off, so you never notice anything. And it jumps it right back to the beginning. For example, here, we just got done. Now we're over here. Jump to over here, and we're back at the front again. So actually we look over the same river twice. Some of you may have noticed that. But the cameras come in a slightly different direction, so I try to make it not as noticeable. So here we have our little village along the river. And we're looking around, and I'm not liking this camera motion here. I kind of like how it turns, but it's not revealing the words just the way that I want them. And then we come this way a little further, and we'll pass by the trees on the mountain. We're resting here, and we get to see our nice little tree saying animation. And finally, after adding in my name and plays towns, adding in some more trees, and make sure the lighting is all right, the camera motion does what I want it to, and we get our final product. Again, thank you everyone for supporting me. I hope you enjoyed watching this video on how animation is done. I encourage you to try it and see if you can make some things just for entertainment, for making something to show others, as I have done here. It really is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of hard work. Don't give up on it. Keep trying it, and you'll find wonderful things you can do with it. Don't hesitate to ask me on any hints or tips on how to do it. I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you for 50 subscribers. Looking forward to 100, and I guarantee if I reach 100 subscribers that my rewards will be a lot better than an instructional video. Thank you everyone, and good night. Hello YouTube. Envizion Revelations here to announce my brand new YouTube channel. I'll be doing several Let's Build series, as well as promoting the weekly build contest for the game Towns. You'll be able to find here information on the contest, advice on how to plan and build your towns, and perhaps some other goodies that lend my way. Coming up first will be a tutorial on how I built the recreation.